Welcome to Romance Happy Hour. It's Thursday night. I'm Dylann Crush, and I'm here with Dawn Luedecke. And we are joined tonight by guest authors Anna Michael and Denise Wells. So, welcome. Dawn, you want to fill us in on what's been going on with you over the past week or so? I've heard you've had some adventures.
Yes, we went camping. Yeah. Once that COVID lifted up, we were like, we're hitting the campgrounds. And it was my little boys, both of my youngest boys' birthdays. So they were pretty happy. My cowboy got his little cowboy hat back since he destroyed his last one. And my dinosaur, my paleontologist got some new dinosaurs to chisel out of the eggs. And we got a lot of ticks, but
yay.
Yeah.
Fun for everyone.
But we had a lot of fun. But now we're back home and working. And school ends next week. So
yay.
That means I get to start writing again. Super excited about that.
You get to turn in your elementary school teacher badge and elementary, middle, and high school.
Yeah. Yep. All three. And then I get to start being an author again. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah. And I just had my re-release of Ghost Ships Cry like a week ago or so. And then I'll have another one coming out in a couple weeks and another one after that.
Fabulous.
Yeah. What about you?
I have been writing. I'm working on the third book in Tying the Knot in Texas. The first book, I know it's so weird when it's a traditional book because the book I'm working on now won't come out until June of 2021. Is that right? Yes. And then
that is prepared. You are prepared.
Well, that's how it works. The calendar, it just takes a long time that way. So yeah. So the first book in that series hasn't even come out yet. It comes out August 4th, and I'm already working on the third. So yeah, how about you guys? Welcome. Who wants to go first? Denise or Anna? Go ahead and introduce yourselves and let us know what you're working on, if you've had any books come out recently, and kind of what you write, where you might be joining us from, all that good stuff.
Well, I'll go first. Or Anna, do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I am Denise Wells. I am joining you from the Pacific Northwest, south of Seattle. In, Washington State. So it's kind of cold up here still. And we're still, all COVID-y, so we don't get to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. We're not released yet. I have a new release coming up on July 8th. It is the fourth book in my Dirty Darlings series, which is a series about a group of women who are bartenders by day and vigilante killers by night.
Ooh,
so I'm going to read tonight from a new book. Mm-hmm.
Are you in the Seattle chapter up there? Or the Pacific or the Peninsula writers?
I'm in Emerald City. City Writers.
Yeah.
And then I think that's it. I think I kind of let my RWA go because of all the stuff. I don't know if I'm going to take it back or not. Yeah.
Are you in the Peninsula Writers Association?
What is that? No.
It's over in Bremerton.
I love Bremerton.
So
but no.
It used to be the Peninsula. It used to be part of RWA, but when they did all that weird stuff, the chapter went away. It was Debbie Maycomber's chapter, and that's where I started out. I lived in Port Angeles, so I started out there.
Where are you now?
In Virginia.
Oh,
my husband's in the military.
Okay.
So
Dawn gets around.
I get around so much,
like a lot.
So you're the loose one.
Yeah.
We were joking about that before we went live. Yes. That's taken out of context, I think.
Yes, it is. Purposely.
Yeah.
So I also have like another series out and some other books, and you can go to my website and see them. I've got a few rom-coms and another completed series, Love in San Solomon, which is more contemporary romance. And my first male romance came out last year.
Yay.
Yeah.
Did I miss? How many did you say you have out?
I know, because I scooted right over that because I have to count in my head now. 7, 8, like 10, 12-ish, under 13. Do we count anthologies? So I've in an anthology. I've got my 4th book of the series, a 5-book series, 2 rom-coms, a YA, and a male. So what's that? 9.
I don't know.
10,
I can't
11,
count
12.
that fast.
Like 13.
Yeah.
It's like 13. There's like 13. So I'm going to go with 13. Lucky 13.
That sounds good.
Yeah. That's what. So that's it.
And Anna, where are you coming from?
Well, I took back my office from my husband because he's been working at home for the last couple months, and my office is much better than his. So he had this mountain of junk in here, but I'm down in my office, and I'm in small town southern Indiana, which is a lot like where my books are set, small town Indiana. So.
Can I say though, I was totally admiring your bookshelf back there when you popped on. The color coding is beautiful.
I mean, that's insane. Like
these are my vintage Harlequins, so they're all like 1960s and 70s.
Oh wow!
Wow!
It's like my favorite thing from the library spoils because I go to our library sells off books every once in a while, and they know to call me when they get those old Harlequins in with the red pages. I'm all over that. So this whole section of my library behind me is all old Harlequins from
beautiful.
Have you read them all?
No, but I love them. Like I was that person when I was younger. I would skip to the dirty part. Like I would go stay at my grandmother's house, and I bust it open right to the middle and read the dirty part in the middle. So I may have done that to most of these books. But I love those older books. I love like the way the covers are, and like you can see what was important to women at a particular time in history. Like you can see when international travel became a big thing, and like I just
that is so cool.
Was it I was going to say a few years ago at one of the conferences, I think it was an RWA conference, they had Harlequin did like postcards, like little vintage postcards and little vintage notebooks.
Cute. They had a series not too long ago, like a couple of years ago, where they were doing like vintage style covers on them, and that was really beautiful to me. But
Oh, I see Linda has massive book envy.
Yes, I do.
I think we all do.
My God.
Okay, this whole section behind me, which is like 3 bookshelves worth of vintage Harlequins, it cost me $10.
Oh my God. I love library finds. I have books that are like 100, 200 years old that I found at the library in the Pacific Northwest, where I would just go and like pick them up. I'm like 100 years old. I don't even care if it's cheap and not worth anything. I'm taking it.
Very cool. You should.
Libraries, so.
I was going to say you should do a Facebook Live sometime and take us on a tour of your library.
But it would probably be embarrassing because I have so many like fangirl books in here. Because I went to a lot of book signings, and I have like 800 pounds of romance books in here.
Oh my God. It's not embarrassing. You're
my hero.
Every reader.
Yeah,
I am a big hoarder. Like my family knows if a package comes for me, 95% of the time it's books, and the other 5% it's coffee. So
that's a perfect blend. Perfect blend.
That's how I run my life. 95% books and 5% coffee. So
there's no need for anything else. Maybe wine. Dawn would say wine.
Oh, well, yeah.
I was just gonna say I'm more like 80% books, 10% coffee, and 10% wine. I mean, I'm not a lush. I'm gonna start out with that. But so
you start off a sentence with that kind of disclaimer. There's nowhere to go from there, Dawn. I'm sorry. There's just really nowhere to go.
Wait, I didn't know wine was allowed.
God, it's amazing.
Hour.
Yes, happy hour.
Oh,
so I'm going to get kicked out of author club for telling you this, but I don't like wine.
Like, we don't discriminate against people who are wrong. We don't discriminate against people.
Well, see, the girl in our logo has a martini, so
I love martini.
But this is,
I know, like everybody's like horrified. They're like, She doesn't drink wine, but I don't. My husband drinks the wine, I drink the beer, and like tonight, the fancy sparkling water.
Oh,
I like that too. I like it a lot better when it's got a couple shots of grapefruit vodka in it, though.
Maybe this one does.
Maybe it does. I told Dawn, we normally ask what people are drinking. I told Dawn, I made a margarita last night, like a pitcher of margaritas. If you have a Vitamix, it comes with a little recipe book, and it's got a whole fruit margarita in there that has like a lime and a lemon and an orange. And I made a whole pitcher of them, not remembering that it made a whole pitcher. And so I saved some for tonight, but it's still frozen. Like too frozen. So by the time we're done here, I might actually be able to drink my margarita. We'll see.
It's practically like a fruit salad, is what it sounds like.
Oh, it totally is. It totally is. Yeah. I just throw some spinach in there and it would actually be dinner.
But Dylan, did you do the drink this week?
No, you did the drink this week.
There's a drink?
Did I?
You were supposed to do the drink this week.
I think I did. But
not a lush. Remember, not a lush. I'm not a lush, but I remember if I did the drink.
I had to do everything before camping.
You did the drink.
Yeah.
It was a berry thing.
I'm all discombobbled from the book club.
Yeah. It's not fair for you. Right. I mean, you were camping. That's going to... And it's COVID.
Ticks, dude. Ticks.
COVID.
Yeah.
And ticks. Maybe I've got Lyme disease.
You did the drink.
You might.
I think it's too soon to tell about Lyme disease, Dawn.
Oh, is it? Okay. If anybody's going to get it, it's my little son who had 3 on him.
My daughter had one on her today, and I was like, oh, look, it's summer.
Yeah. But that kid, I said, you got to stop rolling around in the leaves. I mean,
yep. The dog. We took 2 off the dog last weekend from the cabin. And at least he's light colored so we could see him. Our big dog is really dark colored. And so, but she's a diva. She doesn't really get down in the weeds like he does. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, all of this talk of ticks and wine and drinking is made me eager to hear someone read, right?
Yes.
Well, I did just text my husband and ask him to bring me a cocktail now that I know out loud.
Are you going first or second, Denise?
I am going first.
She is first. Yes.
Oh, well, so then you'll be sober when you read and then drunk.
Yeah, that's really all that matters. That's right.
That's usually what I do. That's when I read. That's my philosophy is go slow at the beginning. I know Karen doesn't believe me because she thinks I'm drunk by the time I get here, but I'll be slow at the beginning because I don't want to mess up reading, and then as soon as I don't, I'm chugging it.
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure.
No.
I am not a connoisseur. I tell the people that stare at me weird when I'm coming out with my box wine. I have 4 kids. I buy by the bulk. I do.
I don't judge. Nobody judges.
There's no judgment here.
Karen judges me, but she's so loud, I guess.
All right.
Okay, so now I'm reading for 8 to 10 minutes. Did I have that right?
Yes. And a little longer, a little shorter. It's totally fine. Like I said, we're very flexible. Do you want to set it up and tell us you are reading from Special Treat? Special Treat tonight. Denise is actually going to read us something that is not published yet. It's the 4th book in your series that's coming out later this summer, right?
Yes. So it is called Dirty Roxy, and it's in a Dirty Darling series. There's kind of a dirty theme there. It is, this is book 1, which you can get now, Dirty Xmas, but it's not really a holiday story. It's more like Die Hard in that way, kind of.
Die Hard is totally a holiday book or a holiday book. I don't know.
And then Dirty Quinn number 3 is out already too. So we're just waiting for Dirty Roxy. It's going to kind of finalize up this whole Dirty Darlings, the beginning of how they started this bartender vigilante thing they've got going on. So
super cool. And look,
I always see the hubby. Hello, hubby.
Special delivery.
What an amazing delivery man.
So what I am about to read, I've got 2 points of view. We're starting with Ronan. He is the anti-hero in the story. We're starting with a chapter from him, and then we'll go to a chapter with Roxy. It's unedited. I don't even know if I've proofread it yet. So super prepared here. Okay.
All right. You are
Okay.
getting the award for biggest risk taker.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever read my work out loud in front of people. So, oh, sorry, there's my dog. Okay.
Okay, we will leave you to it and we'll come back when you're done.
Okay, so here's Ronan. I'm not expecting the visceral reaction I get when I walk from the bedroom into the living area and see Roxy leaned over the desk and chair to get closer to the mirror. Fiddling with some kind of makeup on her face, it hits me with a jolt and I have to stop for just a moment to drink her in. I liked the dress on the hanger. It's why I chose it. But seeing it on her body is an entirely different experience. She brings the garment to life. In return, it puts her every curve on display to its best advantage. The globe of her beat calls to me, and it takes every ounce of self-control not to grab it and take hold. Bite down to get my fill. Push that dress up around her waist. This really isn't PG-13. Just skip that part. I will my beep to lower its eager head as I cross the room toward her. Meeting her gaze in the mirror, I can't help but put my hands on her as I tell her how much I like the look. And I do. Roxy is herself as sexy as hell. Roxy in disguise, adopting a haughty attitude, shielding her every thought and feeling behind a cold facade. I want to beep her so hard she breaks. I hand her the silver mask I'd also had sent up. She settles the arms behind her ears, covering them with her hair, making it look like it's floating on her face. I situate my own and offer my arm. Shall we? I ask. We shall. Doing a little time frame switch here. You can't see that. But, according to Roberto's source, Andre was rumored to be at this party tonight, along with Victor, looking to meet up with Juan Carlos Ochoa. The mask requirement making it easy for them all to meet without detection, but also difficult to know who is who. I'm confident that I can recognize Andre when I see him. For one thing, not a lot of guys down here are his size. For another, I know to watch for him, but he does not know to watch for me. I tuck Roxy's hand in my arm as we walk, much like I imagine a proper husband would do. Because from the moment that we left the hotel room, the facade is in place. We are Mr. and Mrs. Nicholas and Bettina Johnson from Seattle, Washington. Here on a quick stop to look into a few textile mills to fuel Mrs. Johnson's clothing line aspirations. A golf cart is waiting outside the lobby to take us to the gardens where the party is being held. What would take close to 10 minutes if we walked takes only a few minutes riding. I place my hand on Roxy's knee as soon as we're settled and don't move it until we arrive. The urge to run my palm higher up her legs stronger with every second that passes. So when we finally pull into the circular walkway before the front entry, I'm relieved to stand and shake the tension from my body as I exit the cart. By the time I get to Roxy's side, the driver is already helping her step out of the cart. Her leg emerges first, long, lean, and bare to the apex of her thigh. I hip check him out of the way to help her myself. A quick flash of jealousy racing through me at the thought of another man putting his hands anywhere on her. I pull her into me. She gasps slightly as our chests meet. Have I mentioned that you look exquisite? I ask. No, she answers, her smile soft, but I'm happy to hear it as many times as you'd like to say it. I lean in close, allowing my nose to nuzzle the skin just behind her ear and whisper, exquisite, testing out my accent, American with a little lazy California surfer to smooth it out. She shivers. I smile and place my hand at the small of her back to lead her into the party, held the large outdoor garden space on the edge of the property. A spectacular space filled with animal-shaped trimmed foliage and thousands of exotic flowers and trees interspersed throughout. We head through the arched entryway onto the green belt that makes most of the middle. Lit by Edison lights strung back and forth high over the space and accompanied by twinkle lights sprinkled through dozens of trees. The resort has also scattered a number of belly bars and tables for guests to stand at, as well as benches and loungers filled with plush cushions. But perhaps the piece de resistance of the gardens are the hedge mazes that surround it. 3 different mazes, all interconnected, but all with one way in and the same way out. Already the calls of lost partygoers echo through the space. Scantily clad servers wind through the crowd, carrying trays filled with the event's signature cocktail, a smoking blueberry lavender martini, using lavender grown here in this very garden. The dry ice in the drinks causing smoke trails to follow the gold-painted statuesque men and women handing them out. I take one and pass it to Roxy, then grab another for myself. She takes a sip. Oh, that's nice. Then takes another, larger swallow. I steer us to the outskirts of the crowd to mentally catalog the guests. One hand holding my glass as I sip at it slowly, the other resting at the bottom of the V in Roxy's dress, my thumb grazing the skin of her lower back as I move it back and forth, the motion soothing to me. See anything, I ask? She takes a step closer to me, reaching one hand up behind us to rest it on my shoulder closest to her. Our statures, I know, appear calm and collected, even if my insides are on overdrive, as I'm sure Roxy's are as well. Not yet, she answers. You? I shake my head and respond. If Ronan and... see, I didn't edit it. That didn't make sense. If Ronan and Victor are together, it shouldn't be hard to spot them. One big guy, one old guy, and a handful of beefy guys meant to protect them, but also somehow blend in. Roxy finishes her drink, so I set our glasses to the side and lead her to the dance floor. The music is soft and sultry, a combination of a jungle beat and a jazz groove. I pull her into my arms, her body flush against mine. She looks up at me, brows raised in question. We're married, madly in love, I murmur in her ear. Dancing intimately is a must. I concur, she purrs, turning in my arms and pushing her ass back against my already half-hard beep, swaying her hips seductively. Her arms reach up over her head and clasp behind my neck. I have no choice but to wrap my own around her waist, one palm flattened just under her left breast, the other at her pelvis, and move my body with hers. Roxy turns her head, resting her cheek against my chest, and tilts her chin up to look at me. I find myself wishing once again that things were different, that I could claim her as my own. A small part of me even going so far as to wonder what it would be like to actually be married and be here on vacation. Would we use the dancing as foreplay, then return to the room to beep like animals all night long? Or would we make love? Maybe it would be a combination of the two. Why, Mr. Johnson, Roxy breaks into my thoughts, her voice breathy and low. Are you happy to see me? She wriggles her ass against me, the pain of unquenched desire welcome, keeping me alert and on my toes. I spin her to face me, burying my face in her neck, playing my part. I'm always happy to see you, wife. Her hands roam down my chest. She unbuttons my jacket and burrows into me, slipping her arms under the garment, past my shoulder holster and around my waist. I want nothing more than to lose myself in this moment, forget everything except for the feel of her in my arms with her body pressed against mine. Which is when I see him, Andre. My body stiffens. Roxy stills her movements. What? He's here, across the room behind you, pawing one of the servers. Is Victor with him? Not that I can see. Well, what are we waiting for? She asks. Let's go get him. Hang on. I want to see what he does, and I want to find Victor. Dance me toward him. I do as she says with small measured steps, taking care not to make ourselves too noticeable. Roxy continues to run her hands over me, making it hard to concentrate. Not for the first time, I wish our cover was as brother and sister, or even cousins or colleagues, as opposed to husband and wife. It would make it much easier for me to concentrate on what I need to if I didn't also have to block how she makes me feel. My heart beats faster the closer we get. Sweat trickles down my temples. It's barely been a week since I learned of Andre's betrayal, yet I feel as though I've been chasing him a lifetime. Tracking him down so soon has been a blend of knowing the right people and blind, opportunistic luck, most of which I owe to Roberto. Had it not been for him, we wouldn't be here right now. And I'm still not sure how Mac and Rita fared in their search for him. What I do know is Andre's here, within reach, and I'm not about to waste the opportunity. Roxy thinks I should let her lure him into a dark corner, to which I said no, preferring the more direct route. I will go up to him, let him know I've got a gun pinned to his gut, and that we should talk, alone, without his goons there to protect him. And how did he even get additional men on his side so soon? Based on the carnage he and Victor left behind at his compound, I'm certain the bulk of who he even knows is dead, let alone who he can trust or has on his team. They must be. Don't look now, Roxy whispers, but Victor is headed right for us, and he doesn't look happy. Okay, so that's the end of Ronan's chapter, and I have Roxy's chapter, which is about the same length, but I don't know how much time I have.
We're back. You are welcome to keep reading for a little bit longer if you want to, or we can do either.
How long is it? I didn't even get to the good part. You know, I really realized that you have to be really crafty in picking this because background stuff doesn't really matter all that much.
Yeah, we did tell Denise before we started to keep it PG-13. So if you're hearing her say bleep, that's our fault. We said just get creative, and you can always bleep yourself if you need to. So yeah, that's not an author error. That was
I had one author error in there. I had a sentence that didn't even make sense. But,
We do have some questions. Do you want to go to the questions, or do you want to read more?
I'll read a little bit more.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. How much should I read? I don't know. What do I do?
I don't know. I'm enjoying it, so I don't care.
Yeah. Why don't you give us a little bit more?
I
Okay,
got some
all right.
questions of my own brewing.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this is going to be from Roxy then.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. Here we go. My warning about Victor is barely out of my mouth when Ronan covers my lips with his. No pretense, no warning, no hesitation. He just moves his hands up to cup my cheeks and hold me in place as he proceeds to turn my entire world inside out. His kiss is determined and dangerous, potent and predatory. My breath whooshes from my lungs and my head spins. I twine my hands behind his neck and hang on for the ride. One of his hands snakes down to my back to cup my ass and pull me in tighter. I angle my head, trying to get more of him. I want to crawl inside and never leave. He tastes sweet and savory like the drinks we were handed when we got here, and a little like something else I can't identify, but at the same time I know is uniquely him. Every part of him that touches me claims me as his own, searing my skin with his brand. Nothing will be the same after this kiss, especially not me. I've always considered myself a sexual creature, but Ronan is awakening something inside me I didn't know was there. With every swipe of his tongue, every nip of his lips, every press of his fingertips, I fall a little further under his spell. And just when I know that I can't take any more, when my lungs threaten to explode from the pressure, he pulls away slightly. His forehead tilted against mine, his breath heavy on my cheeks, our chests heaving as one. I swoon back toward him, wanting more. Victor is gone. His voice is hoarse and taxed, but Andre is still behind us. They had words, neither looked happy. Wait, he was able to track both Victor and Andre during that? You watched them while we kissed? I pant, not believing what I'm hearing. I must be losing my touch if I let myself wander off to Never Never Land while he stayed on task. We kissed so that I could watch them, he returns. Do not let your emotions get in the way of your common sense, Mrs. Johnson. His tone turns cold. Anything that happens here is for the sake of aiding in surveillance and capture, nothing else. You were just as affected by that kiss as I was, I protest. A physical reaction is normal and not to be expected, but also not to be confused as anything but. Wow. His words are more like a slap to the face, waking me up and forcing me from the intoxicating effects of his lips upon mine. Okay, point taken. Our foreheads are still together, but the feeling is anything but intimate at this point. Should I stop there?
That's funny. That works. That was great. Yeah, we had to get the kiss from her point of view.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. So much better from her point of view.
No, that was great.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you my question first, and then I'll go to the readers. It's selfish that way. But how long do you always write in first person?
Mm-hmm, I do.
And how did you decide your genre that you want to write it?
Well, so rom-com comes really easily to me, like super easy. But I read dark romance and romantic suspense, and they say to write what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I never read rom-com books, but I love rom-com movies. Mm-hmm. So I'm not answering your question at all with this, but so I keep wanting to write dark romance, but I can't get there. I can't get my head there. So this is kind of my dark
suspensey.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. I can't get. Most of what I write it can be suspenseful, but it's still going to be funny in parts. And
so, would you classify this as rom-com suspense?
I'm going to classify it as romantic suspense. I'm not putting the calm part anywhere in there. No,
you could create a whole new genre.
Yes, yes, that's awesome. Do it.
Rom suspense, no calm. Yeah, I know my PR people they hate it, but because it really, I don't know. So I mean, I really want to write dark romance. I really want to write those tortured guys that like A. Zavarelli and L.J. Shenwright. Like I dig that. I just eat that stuff up, but I can't. It won't come out.
That's interesting. So, are you Sarah wants to know, are you a plotter or a pantser?
Boop, beep. I try really hard to plot. And my last book, Dirty Roxy, I plotted the whole thing out on Post-it notes, and I put them up on the window in my office here so that I could look at them every day while I'm writing. And I had a full outline, and I followed the entire snowflake method. And I've also followed a few other methods. And then I stopped. I got stuck. And I outlined this one right now, Dirty Roxy, all ahead of time. And then I got stuck. I don't know. I can't do it. I need to, because plotting obviously makes you a more effective writer with the time that you have. And I'm really ineffective, but I end up changing it. And then when I change it, I forget what I've done. And then I write whole chapters that go against everything that the storyline was supposed to do. And then I have to delete them. And I'm a pantser.
I think maybe we're separated at birth. I think maybe you're my twin, my writing twin. Yeah, I feel that so much.
Yeah, Dylan will call me up sometime and be like, "Listen, wait, did the book with the
oh my gosh, you're gonna spoil another one of my books." Don will ask me questions like, "Remember the one about this and this and this? Have you published that yet?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't."
We've talked about this one before. Did the book with the ceramic beavers come out already?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
No. No, it hasn't.
But we've talked about it, so I didn't read.
Yeah, so let's remind people what they have forgotten over the past month.
It's teaser. It's just a teaser.
A teaser, right?
And we need our beavers in here, but so what about you, Anna?
We cannot get through an episode without someone mentioning a beaver. Yes. Anna,
Anna, what about you? Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I think I'm a plantser, because I make like a rough outline and try to stay on schedule with it, but I don't go I can't do no cards or Post-its or have you seen those girls? They have those big color-coded boards.
I can't.
It gives me anxiety just looking at that stuff. So I just have the big plot points outlined and try not to mess it up, but I almost always do.
That's me too. That's me too. I do the beats, and then that's pretty much what I got.
I had that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do it. I do definitely plot, and then usually I do Dark Night of the Soul in this pot where it's not supposed to be, so then I have to move it. I get really excited about them, earning their happily ever after. So I'm ready to ruin their lives way too early in the book.
So then they just have farther to come to get to that happy ever after.
Also, are you guys indie or trad?
Indie.
Traditional.
Indie. I've always known that's what I wanted to do. Although I do have like a little bitty dream of writing a Harlequin because I mean,
Yeah. Okay, and so Linda wants to know, what other authors are you friends with, and how do they help you become a better writer?
well, my author bestie is Adie Award, and she basically pulled me kicking and screaming to an RWA conference, and
I was there.
I'm like, well, I've always wanted to write a book, and like, I really love romance. I want to write a romance book, and she's like, you should do that.
We love
So
Edie here.
it's her fault, basically.
A lot of things are 80s fault.
Yes.
Correct. If you look at the dedication of my very first book, it may be all her fault. I'm just saying. I wouldn't be published without her. Let me just put it that way. But I mean, I'm lucky. I have a good group of ladies in my life that are good support systems, like LK Farlow and Amy Knight, who just had a book come out today. And I mean, freaking Kate Farlow made a book release party for me for my last day.
That's nice.
She threw a surprise party for me. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Surprise party. That's so cute.
That
Surprise
is.
book release party. That's a good idea.
It was super nice. It's the only surprise party I've ever had in my life. So
That's a good one to start with.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised.
What about you, Denise? Are you in? You're indie, you said.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of author friends. I'm probably going to forget everybody's names right now. I have a lot of my favorite authors that I stalk regularly and try to make them my friends, and it hasn't worked with many yet. But Danielle Norman, I did talk her into being my friend, and she actually helped me figure out the whole idea for Dirty Darlings. I don't even think she realizes that she did it, but she changed my life, and it was amazing, and it was wonderful. And so I actually dedicated the first book to her. And Steffi Walls is a huge influence for me, and she's amazing, and I love her writing, and she's been a tremendous, tremendous friend for me. And my critique partner is Rachel Radner, who is just now starting to publish, and her books are fantastic too.
Yeah. So I'm going to tie the next couple questions in together. So, what is your writing routine, and what is your favorite time of day to write? And then we have a couple more. So yeah, we'll start there.
I like to write at night, best. I keep trying to have a routine. I don't have one yet. I keep hoping that with my next book, it will just happen. It will be, I will be a routine person, but I haven't yet. But I try to force myself to write any time of the day so that I don't get into too much of a where if I don't write from 9 to midnight, then I can't write kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Now I'm going to add my own for you, Denise, is do you write with wine? Or can you not? You're in that Pacific Northwest.
I know.
Write drunk and edit sober.
That Ernest Hemingway. That I try to live that, but I can't. No, I know. No, and I really thought I would be able to. Like the muse would be set free the more buzzed I got, and it doesn't. So no. Yeah. I can't drink while I write. It sucks.
Yeah, that's me.
It's really changed. I think I've become a healthier person though, writing at night and then not being able to drink while I write. Like then I don't drink as much.
See, I guess I'm going to have to switch to writing at night then, because I can't write with wine either.
Yeah.
But I also can't write without coffee. So that might be a two-edged sword for me. It would not.
Coffee doesn't make me. It doesn't make me not sleep, so I can still have coffee at night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you're lucky.
That changed for me. I used to be that way. And I would say that I am not a healthy writer because I sit in a chair all day. I wish that I could dictate and walk. You hear a lot of authors that can dictate or write on a like treadmill desk.
I
And
want that treadmill desk.
Me
I think I could pull
too.
that off. I think I could do it.
I would fall over. I'm not that coordinated.
You walk super
Correct.
slow, I think.
It doesn't matter. There would be
Slow.
movement. I
I
would
would die.
yeah.
I would,
I would
absolutely
trip.
fall on my face, and then there'd be like a nail burn. It
Mhm.
would just be, like I can't do it normally without dictating. So
Oh, okay. So, Anna, what about you? What is your writing routine, and what time of day do you like to write?
well, given that I'm in quarantine with my family, I can really only make words after my 2 little kids go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get work done until about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, at least in the creative making words part of getting work done. When they were in school, I would take the little one to pre-kindergarten, and then I'd go to a coffee shop and post up there and write during her 3 hours of school.
Yep.
Mhm.
But there's no school right now.
And there are no coffee shops.
Also that my favorite coffee shop is not open, so I write at home, usually up in the kitchen, which sounds sort of weird, but like my kids are upstairs, and my daughter kind of like she gets like night terrors and she sleepwalks and stuff sometimes, so I need to kind of be able to go grab her if she has one of her episodes. So usually I'm not down here in the basement. Like I said, my husband took over the basement cool office with all the beautiful books and the museum in it. So
Did he do his best work among all the Harlequin novels, or was he eager to give you your space back?
No, he's super territorial about it. He's like, I don't know why I gave you this really good office. And I was like, I don't know why you took down the picture of the naked man butt. Like, I feel like he just has some inferiority with you.
That goes along with my question: is did he do any Zooms from that office?
No, I make my kids do their Zoom upstairs, like at the kitchen table with me, so that I can make sure that like my son's not doing weird stuff in chat. Because like he's always making like butt joke.
Yes. Oh my god.
And so like his whole thing is he wants to get in chat with his other guy friends and make jokes about like butts or farts or whatever.
How old is your kid?
The kid is 8. He'll be 9 at the end of July, and the little kid just turned 5, and she's. I feel so sorry for whoever she gets married to someday.
See, because I'm sitting here with you were talking about the butt jokes, and I'm sitting here thinking our kids would be the best of friends. Oh my god, I'm at the point right now. I got 3 boys and 1 girl. I'm at the point where I'm just like, I give up. I can't.
Right. Boys are just like my son is my sweetheart. He really is. Like he's definitely like he's a big old mama's boy, but he's just kind of gross, basically. And
it gets worse.
Yeah.
No, don't do that, Dylan. Don't.
And then it'll get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
You're supposed to lie to me about these things, ladies. Like you know this, right? Like you're supposed to be like, oh no, it gets so much easier when they get older.
If he's 9, he probably doesn't smell really bad yet. That's coming.
I know he's a little bit stinky. Like if he goes outside, he comes in, he's stinky already. And I was like, I used to kiss you, like your little stinky feet. And now you're like, so my son's a giant, like he's a big, tall, giant kid. And like he looks like he's probably about 13. Like he's just real tall and real big. And he always has been ever since he was a real runty little baby. And then when he got past the runty stage, he's been like a big giant.
He caught up.
And like he stinks, y'all. He is.
Yep. I am very familiar with that smell. I bet Dawn is too. With
oh yeah.
Yuck.
But we still have
my bathroom.
We still have a couple questions, but I want to hear your books.
I know we have to have time for Anna to read. Yeah. So let's do that. And then she thought she was going to get off the hook with that, but no, we're going to make sure that we still have time for Anna to read. So let's do that, and then we can finish up with questions when we're done.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read to you from my book that came out exactly 2 weeks ago today. It's Last First Date and it's the second novel in my Last First Kiss series. I'm just going to read you the first chapter because I think it's pretty funny, and hopefully you do too. My paperbacks aren't in, otherwise I'd put
Okay, I was going to ask if you had a
Not
picture of
yet.
the cover. So
Maybe next week. I can probably show you the cover on my phone, which is a little tragic, but I'm like obsessed with this cover.
Oh, you're going to have to hold it closer.
Closer, okay.
Yep.
No, it's so not good. Anyway, it's a good cover. I'm obsessed with it. I'm sorry.
I've seen it, and it's super cute. I mean, it's not cute. It's like hot and very attractive.
I'm
cute,
not,
but
like,
yes.
a little bit obsessed with it. Like, I'm a lot obsessed with it, and I think the next cover is even better. Like, I ordered the photo the other day, and I can't get over it right now. Like, I cannot wait to see it. So.
All right, we are going to turn this over to you, and we will come back when you're done.
Okay. Hi. All right, so this is the first chapter. It's from our heroine's point of view. Her name is Darcy. So here we go. Sweaty, half-naked men are packed like sexy sardines all around me. The guys are joking around with one another in that easy way that longtime colleagues do. And I effing love every single minute of it. Thank goodness I'm just one of the guys to them. It's nothing special that I'm here joking around with them because I've earned my way into their ranks. But Millicent Garthwaite Fawn Albrecht is most definitely not amused. I can tell by the way her lips are pinched just so at the edges, the same way she used to look whenever she'd chide me when I was a little kid for all the real and imagined wrongs I'd committed. I break off from the main knot of guys and head toward her. She's posted up next to where the swanky photographer is supposed to be taking pictures of the various and assorted hot guys. Mother, I say, nudging her with my shoulder. What's the matter now? Her nostrils flare and her lips curl. Darling, it's rather... She pauses and stares at me, thinning her lips out over the next few words. Fragrant in here. I look at the wall of well-muscled, tall, and handsome firefighters, half-clad in their turnout gear, milling around by the standing lights. It's like an all-you-can-eat hot guy buffet in here. Yum. And it definitely smells like man in here, but not in a bad way at all. The packed studio space smells like baby oil, leather, and clean sweat with an undercurrent of smoke. All firemen are bound to smell like smoke, even though they're all coming to the chute fresh from the shower. I've found over the years that it's almost impossible to get the smell completely out of my skin and hair. But most of the time, I don't even notice the scent anymore. It's part of who I am, whether she likes it or not. I shrug at her, something my persnickety and manners-obsessed mother absolutely hates. Right up there with half-naked firefighters, apparently. I pat her hand in what I hope is a soothing manner, or at least a tease her into a better mood manner. I believe what you're smelling is nothing more than an extra heavy dose of testosterone, Mother. I mean, there's got to be an actual ton of hot men piled up in this room. My mother glares at me like I've just farted on her instead of complimenting the selection of models for this year's charity fundraising calendar. But let's keep it real for a minute here. The annual Firefighters Calendar has been the #1 fundraiser for the LaGrange County Ladies Guild since its inception. It's the #1 selling fundraiser item of its kind in the state, and we've shipped calendars of our sexy, half-naked firefighters all over the world. Thanks to whatever hot guy juice is being added to the drinking water at the various firehouses in our area, my mother's pet project has already bought our little town of Valentine a new playground, a paved walking trail, free Wi-Fi available around the courthouse square, and a brand new set of furniture for the waiting area at City Hall. even though literally nobody is ever stuck waiting there because our town is so tiny. For their part, the guys all like giving me a hard time about being part of the so-called Beefcake Committee. But I happen to know they also secretly enjoy raising money for a good cause. And I can also name quite a few of these men who enjoy being photographed shirtless because they think it gets them laid. Maybe it does. Who am I to criticize? I've certainly done some stupid things to try to get laid in the past. My mother clucks disapprovingly at me. Darling, if you'd pay more attention, I'm sure you could make a connection with someone of your own caliber. I flinch, and every muscle in my neck and shoulders tenses up at just her tone. I'm assuming she's ready for another round of giving me the highbrow version of the quit slumming for men speech. And okay, I get it. She has always been clear that she wanted me to be married off by now and making little heirs and heiresses for some upper-class gentleman. But I keep thinking she's going to get over it someday. She is, right? I'm 28 years old. I get dirty for a living and have for over a decade now. And sure, I've definitely dated here and there, but it's mostly been guys that I knew from work. And the firefighters I know don't have a trust fund or a local park named after them. Ugh, she's still staring at me like I'm supposed to answer her or something. Fine. I'm sure you're right. That's always a safe response with her. Her carefully made-up lips curl up into a vicious-looking smile, and her eyes glitter with satisfaction. Good. In that case, I expect to see you at the hospital gala with a man by your side. She sniffs and raises one carefully lacquered index finger. Let me clarify. A man of means, not another one of your airheaded firefighter boy toys. Hey, keep it down, I hiss at her. Number one, I don't like the way she is so damned snobby about money and the social hierarchy when none of that stuff should matter. Number two, I'm more than a little afraid that the guys who are here to be photographed will hear the way she's talking about me and spend the next few weeks either trying to hit on me or giving me a bunch of crap about my dating life or my not dating life, whichever way is easier to think about it. I'm so out of practice at dating and relationships that she definitely thinks I'm worse than hopeless at this point. But dating has never been a big priority for me, much to my mother's disappointment. I sigh. Mother, I don't even know any men like that. The only guys I ever meet are the other firefighters at work. And honestly, most of them think of me as one of the guys. I kick at my fingernails as I squirm under the harshness of her icy gaze. She reaches toward me and grips my chin, her long fingernails digging into my skin uncomfortably. Maybe you should stop dressing like one of the guys if you want to be taken seriously, Darcy, both at work and as a woman. Ugh, I hate this moment so much. Why didn't I wear one of those stupid sweaters she's always giving me? She clucks her tongue before continuing. I heard that there's an opening for a lieutenant at the main station. You've had plenty of experience now, and I expect you to get that promotion. Mom! I wiggle uncomfortably in her grasp. She can make me feel like a little kid with dirty fingernails with only the tiniest bit of effort. She does this to everybody, so I probably shouldn't take it personally. But I wish she didn't have to dig into me, here and now, in front of the guys. Please, I whine at her, pulling back from the sting of her grip. I feel like she's about to come at me with a spit-covered finger and try to tame some stray hair or clean up a dirt smudge. She lets me go, but then grabs me by the wrist and drags me over toward the crowd of half-naked firefighters in turnout gear. It's a little embarrassing to be that close to so many oiled-up versions of the men I work with from time to time, but also, yes, please. I nod to one of the guys I know from another station. Daniels. Nice to see you, even if it is so much of you. The other guys hoot at my teasing and scramble all over each other to elbow at him. He flushes for a second, but recovers by reenacting a few magic mic moves in our general direction. And now I remember why I'm oh so very single. I want to cover up my haughty mother's disapproving eyes, so she doesn't have to witness the overtly sexual rolls of his hips. But I also need to have a free hand to take a swing at him, so that's going to have to happen first. Hey, what was that for, Albrecht? He rubs at his pecs where my sharp blow landed. Quit shaking your tragic little Vienna sausage at my mother, you nasty, nasty boy. The group of men surrounding us make that ooh noise, but quickly quiet down when I sweep an angry look at them. What a bunch of rowdy little kids they are sometimes. They know better than to act like this in front of my mother. In the silence that follows, a man's laugh rings out. I turn my head to fix a fierce look on the offender, with every intent of chewing him out too. But the man who's laughing isn't one of the group of shirtless firefighters. Instead, it's a pale, skinny man in a dark t-shirt and a black leather jacket. His hair is just a bit too long, and I catch myself staring at all the angles of his face before my gaze drifts to his hands, which are wrapped around a camera that costs more than I make in 3 months. I have to force myself to close my mouth, which has been hanging open at the side of him. Darcy Albrecht, meet Hesse Kottner. He's the artist who has volunteered his photography skills for a fundraising project. His laughter stops at last, but his eyes are still glittering with mischief and humor. He rakes his fingers through the long strands of his hair, then reaches out and lifts my hand to his lips, kissing the back of it. Wait, is this guy serious? I am definitely not the hand-kissing type. I don't even know anyone who is the hand-kissing type, except apparently this guy, who's also sporting a watch that costs more than the entire fundraiser will likely generate. Mr. Kottner, I say, my voice shaking a bit as I pull my hand away from him. His lips cork up, Miss Albrecht. Then he nods to my mother as if they're actual friends. And Miss Millicent, we're almost finished up here if you pretty ladies want to have lunch after. Lunch? I choke out. What lunch? My mother pats my hand, the one that Hesse just grabbed away from its safety zone and planted his lips against. Don't mind her, dear boy. She's just a little flustered. Then she drops my hand like a hot potato and lunges for him instead, looping her arm through his at the elbow and pulling him close. There's a darling little tapas place just a block or two from here. Once you've wrapped up your project here, let's all sit down and we can catch up over some sangria. Millicent von Albrecht lives to do lunch. She's the perfect socialite, always dressed to the nines and ready to be seen anywhere important and be photographed at a moment's notice. As for me, I'm wearing a pair of jeans that are grubby enough to stand upright without me in them, and a tank top that bears my muscular arms. I don't even own makeup other than a mascara and a little lip balm. And knowing what I do about my mother, I'll need a shower, a makeover, and a visit from a personal shopper before I'd even be allowed into whatever place my mother has in mind. I want to sigh, but I also know it would only make things more tense with my mother. She has enough complaints about who I've turned out to be and how often I disappoint her, without me also getting chewed out for having bad manners on top of everything else. And heaving the giant sigh that's welling up in my soul won't get me out of whatever awkward lunch date she has planned anyway. The door at the rear of the room bangs open, and a tall man with a three-piece suit struts in like he owns the place. Wait, does he? I look him over trying to place him, but I'm about 99% certain he doesn't own the building where we've set up for the photo shoot. But he's obviously somebody, or at least he's acting like he is. Daniels calls out to the new arrival. Nice of you to show up, Proby. He starts a round of sarcastic-sounding applause that the rest of the shirtless men pick up and echo. Wait, hold up. The guy in the business suit is a new recruit? I need to find out what firehouse he's working out of and get on their payroll immediately. I know how much a fancy suit like that costs, and it's not rookie pay. Plus, apparently, they're serving up better eye candy at that particular station rather than the one I work out of. So count me in for all that hot, gorgeous scenery. Besides, this guy is not giving off the vibes of an untested and unsure rookie. Not a bit. The man I'm looking at is the living, breathing definition of big dick energy. I glance at his pants to see if I can make a determination regarding the size of this man's ego. And I'm apparently as subtle as a car crash, because my mother clears her throat so loudly, it sounds like she has a hairball. I glance up and meet her censuring gaze, then ever so helpfully whack her on the back. Are you sure you're okay, Mother? I smack her again to better sell the lie. The fancy photographer pins me in place with his light-eyed stare. Then his lips curl up into a smile. Your daughter is everything you said she would be, Millicent. I resist the urge to smack her a third time, but I give my mother a look that would have zapped her to dust if she were an ordinary human. In return, she flashes me a fast, tight-lipped smile, the closest she comes to ever flipping someone off. Quite right, Hessa. Hessa Cotner tucks free of my mother's manicured grip and nods toward the newcomer. You must be our Mr. September. Why don't you put on your outfit and we can get you into makeup? Mr. September visibly recoils and shakes his head firmly. I'm not going to wear any makeup. That was definitely not part of the deal. His attention passes from the photographer and lands on me. Then he flashes me a grin that he obviously knows melts panties on impact. Besides, why mess with perfection? Cotner looks at the man in front of him, his lips pushed into a little mew of annoyance. He's definitely the kind of man who doesn't like to be told no. We'll figure it out. Just go ahead and change. Mr. September nods once, then looks over at Daniels. Were you able to bring an outfit for me? Daniels flashes a big toothy grin that I know isn't the look of an innocent man ever has on his face. And what has this guy done to the Proby? And should I wait around to see how the prank plays out? Perhaps even find a way to surreptitiously film it so we can all laugh about it later? Mr. September turns and heads back toward the room where the guy's dressing area is. The other guys all stifle some very naughty giggles, then hastily grab their discarded shirts and start pulling them on. Guys, are you sure about this? I tip my head back to where the other guy disappeared. I definitely understand the entire culture around hazing the new rookie firefighters by means of elaborate pranks, but something tells me this guy isn't going to take it as well as the usual younger recruits. My eyes drift back to the door where Mr. September left to go get changed. The guy who's more likely than not undressing just a few feet away from me is a grown-up man. He's not the type to get pushed around by a bunch of young truckies like this bunch of mischievous pretty boys. Aw, come on, we did our photos already, so we're just going to take off and grab a bite. One of the other fellas angles his head toward me and all but flutters his eyelashes, giving me the most fake, innocent look I've ever seen on an adult man's face. Daniels leans towards me. You want to come with? It might do your dating life some good to be seen out with this many beefcakes at once. I snort, earning another of my mother's sharp looks. Daniels, if I go out with the whole group of you, people are going to think I'm in on whatever you've done to the new guy. And unless you want to tell me what you did, I can't buy in. Daniels shrugs. Suit yourself. I'm just saying you could do a lot worse than lunch with this many of the hottest guys of Valentine. He waggles his eyebrows at me in the most lecherous manner possible, and I can't quite tell if he's kidding. My mother's face has 2 white spots high up on her cheeks. Sheesh, I haven't seen her this worked up in a while. I'd better speak up before she has an actual meltdown here in front of the guys and starts breathing fire. I'm having lunch with my mother today, guys, but I'll catch up with you all later. I wave to them, and they hustle toward the door as quickly as if they're heading out for a call. I throw one last worried glance toward where the new guy disappeared to go change, but I haven't figured out what they're up to. Itching powder in his pants? Rubber snake in his boots? I don't think Mr. September's going to be taken in by either of those basic level pranks. He seems way too savvy to fall for that amateur hour stuff. My mother rubs my arm, pulling me back to whatever conversation she was having with the photographer. Apparently she does know this guy, or at least his family, pretty well. I'm hoping you two will get to know each other a bit better when we're at lunch. This is your last bit of the shoot, isn't it? Cotner nods. Just this last guy, and then... His voice stops abruptly. My mother makes a sound that might be a laugh, but also might be her swallowing her own tongue. I follow where they're both staring and almost die from the rush of heat that engulfs my entire being. I've figured out what the prank is, and it's epic. So if you want to find out, read my book.
That's just mean.
You can't stop there.
I'm not there.
That's awesome. No,
You're
I
a tease, Anna Michael. You're a tease.
I was gonna say it's a damn good thing that 80 told you, encouraged you to write, because I love your voice. I love your description. I'm not sure that who I want her to be with, though. I mean, there's 3 guys there with great descriptions. I'm like, oh man. But we do have a couple questions. What genre do you like to read, and do you listen to audiobooks?
Well, I obviously read a crap ton of romance. And when I'm not reading romance, I read like YA fantasy, so like Sarah J. Maas.
Mm-hmm.
The last book I read was Serpent and Dove, which was really good, and also another Indiana writer. Yay, Indiana. And I do listen to audiobooks. I usually have 3 books going at a time. I have an ebook, like a physical book, and then an audiobook. So right now the audiobook I'm listening to is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. Yeah, I love them. I don't get to listen to them as much as I used to, though, because it's...
What about you, Denise?
What was the question? Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just taken in by Anna, and I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, okay, yeah, I read almost all romance, almost always on my Kindle. My husband has made me narrow down my books to like just under 1,000, so I'm not allowed to get any more unless I get rid of some. And I've got all my favorites now, so I know it is. But I mean, the Kindle,
like grounds for divorce, I think.
Yeah, that's rude. But yeah, I like to read the dark romance, romantic suspense. I did read a Sarah J. Maas, though, the first one in something with thorns or something, and it was fantastic.
Oh my god! No, read the second book. The second book is where it's at. The second book is where it gets so good, girl. Like the first book is fine. The second book is like,
okay.
Do it. Go read it, and then you can message me later and thank me.
Okay.
Also, how many unpublished and half-finished books do you guys have?
So when I first started writing, I mostly read like a lot of heavy feels. I read like a lot of angsty romance, and that is not what I write. So that's what I tried writing, and it was not good, y'all. It was not good. It was very like I would never make anybody read any of that. So I have about 40,000 words on a very, very bad angsty romance. And other than that, I've like started and stopped the last book in this series probably 3 times now. It's my enemy. Like, I will conquer it eventually, but
Have you sent those to anybody else though? Because I can tell you 100% that everybody hates their own writing.
oh, I hate all of my own writing. That is true. But
Like I get to the end and I'm just like, this is shit. And then I send it to my
it's
to
always
my
like that. It's
readers.
always like
Love
that.
it.
So like at the beginning, it's really bad. And then there's a part in the middle where I'm like, I'm so proud of this. And then I get to the end, I'm like, oh, why did I do this? And then I'm doing edits and I'm like, I should just go back to my day job and I shouldn't do this anymore. And I should just go back and like never touch books in my life. So
I feel that way about every book I write. So
Yeah,
me too.
I think that's normal. And I keep waiting for that feeling to go away because, you know, it's like every time I start a new book, I feel like this is the first time I've ever written a book and I've totally forgotten how. And I keep waiting for that feeling to go away. And I'm writing, what am I, book 13 or 14 right now? And it's still there.
That makes me feel both better and worse, Dylan.
I know. I'm happy and sorry at the same time. So, were there any other questions, Dawn? Because I know I
did not see any more questions, so
we're going over a little bit.
Yeah.
So
that's my fault. I'm sorry.
It's totally normal. It's
Yeah.
totally normal for us. You've just proven tonight, both of you, that you are our people. So, yes, thank you for that. So before we wrap up, we have our giveaway post that is still active in the group. If you would like to go, and I think both of you to enter your both.
There it is.
That's what you're giving away. Yep, that's what Anna's giving away. And Denise has winner's choice of signed paperbacks. So, but go ahead and enter on the giveaway post. Instructions are there. I think it's a BookBub follow, and I think so. Super easy to get entered into that. And we will keep that open until Sunday night, and then we will pick a winner. So make sure you go over and
share it, the post so we can get.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have it set up who's coming next. I mean, we have it, but we haven't confirmed, right? So we can't announce that.
No.
All right.
Secret.
Oops. It is. Stay tuned to see who's going to be on next time. We will be coming back on the second Thursday in June. So make sure you tune in. And yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. I love that it's still light outside where Denise is.
I know, right?
I'm just looking at that.
Jealous.
It will be until like 9:30 though. 9:30 Pacific time.
Yep. So yeah, because it's only almost 7:15 there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's 10:15 here.
I know. It's later there. I'm in the middle, so I'm in Minnesota. It's 9:15 here.
I was admiring Denise's daylight the way I was from.
I know. There's so much green behind you.
There is. Yeah. We have a lot of trees. Mm-hmm.
And that's a rose, right?
Orchids. My husband grows orchids.
I was going to say it looks like an orchid. I've killed those before on accident. So go enjoy the rest of the sunshine.
Yes.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Okay.
Right.
All right. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.